Frailing at Life, me Banjo Jen. That was a little bit of Lazy John. I realised it's been ages since I did a little tutorial, so I thought I should remedy that and do another quick little episode that maybe builds on what we did with Cripple Creek. So we've kind of now got all the basics that we need in terms of playing Frailing banjo. So those first few episodes, if you've not watched them and you're just tuning into this channel, go back and watch the first sort of few episodes, because it really goes right from scratch, building up to all through the basic Frailing strum, the main kind of simple chords, hammer-ons, slides, pull-offs, and then we kind of put all that together in Cripple Creek in the last episode, I think. So I thought this would be a good time to maybe do something like Lazy John, because you can play around with that. It's a really simple tune and melody, like you just heard. You might be already familiar with it, hopefully. And you can kind of, use some of those techniques that we've learned, throw them in, when things are feeling a little bit natural to you now, hopefully you can play around with it. You don't have to play the tune like I'm playing it, but I will kind of go through a little bit just so that we can build it up, and then you can just spend some time having a play around. And it just uses those 3 chords again. Next time I think we'll maybe branch into some other chords, particularly the F shape, which is a cool shape to know, because you can do lots of things with that. But for now, Lazy John, I was singing it in G just so that it saves putting a capo on. Usually I'd capo it because it's a bit low for me, but just your open G, you see. And what I do with Lazy John is I use that power D that I think we mentioned before. So that's where I'm only putting my index finger and my middle finger onto the strings you'd use for a D. I'm leaving out that ring finger, okay, that F sharp. I'm leaving that out so that the natural D string that string 1 is rings out. So I call that a power D. And I find that it works well in this tune. In this tune, I never really play putting that finger, that fret, the 4th fret down. What it also means is your ring finger is free to kind of reach over, and sometimes you will do a kind of little pull off on this 3rd string. Okay, so when you've got your index and your middle finger down on that power D, you can then reach that ring finger across and kind of do a little pull off on that 3rd string. Which sounds pretty cool. So the sort of structure is, I guess, I can't remember all the, the words are really simple, but something like, had a little girl down the road, her eyes were crossed and her legs were bowed. Nice. Suppose we could sing it about a guy. Had a little guy lived down, I'm going to do that. Had a little guy lived down the road. Okay, so it's going from I kind of do a little like nice hammer on that bass string, like the 2nd fret, which we talked about quite a bit in the hammer-on tutorial. It's always a really nice note to put in that. So I do a little hammer-on there, and then I go straight up to the D. So it's just a quick one on the bass, straight into that power D chord. Had a little guy lived up the road, and that's a nice place to put a slide in. You don't have to, but I think it's nice to just do a little slide. So again, it's on that 3rd string, so we talked about that in the slide tutorial. The 2nd to the 4th fret always makes a really nice slide. So sounds quite nice. I might even put a little hammer on there as well. So like into the D chord, might hammer on that middle sort of 3rd string before the slide. So we're getting a little bit more fancy now. We're putting in the hammer-ons and stuff a bit more often. That's the aim of it. So it just sprinkles it with these nice notes, and it's not just the kind of melody. You get all these nice little kind of in between notes which make the banjo sound so lovely. So I would go it sort of just repeats that. Or you could reach over with your ring finger and do that little pull off on the third string that I was talking about with the D. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. So that's dun 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 dun. And then I just sort of let go, and you'll find like you can include pull-offs a lot more when you're just releasing the chord. So just by releasing that chord makes an automatic pull-off. I'm not even really having to do anything with this hand, but obviously this hand is still doing its Frailing strum, so just for now keep that rhythm. Just do your 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, okay. And then to finish it off, you can either do another ring finger one, or I would maybe go to the bass string again, put your index finger on the bass string, strike it, pull it off, strum thumb, do, 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 just to finish that off. So it's kind of going, got a little guy lived down the road, his legs were crossed and his eyes were bold, going to the dance on Saturday night, why don't you go and lay legs with John? Ignore the words because I'm singing the words wrong, but hopefully that gives you the sort of pattern of the verse bit. And then that's all it is, so you can just kind of roll that around a few times. Then the chorus, it's going to go up to the C, for lazy John, lazy John, and then it goes to the D. But before I go up to the C, this is again where you can throw in hammer-ons where you feel comfortable with them. What I sometimes like to do is kind of it makes a double sound of the same note but with different strings, okay? So if I hammer on that 3rd fret, 2nd string, you know that that makes the same note as the 1st string, okay? So 2nd string on the 3rd fret will make the same note as your 1st string open, and that means if you do a hammer on and then you strum thumb, so all I'm doing is striking that 2nd string but hammering on at the 3rd fret, strum thumb. As you do your strum, obviously your fingers catching that 1st string, so you get in 2 of the same note there. And you might think, well, why would you do that? Why do you want 2 of the same note? But when you put a little hammer-on in of the same string that you're then going to hear again, it gives it quite a nice old-timey sound. And hey folks, sorry about that. There's probably going to be a bit of a blip in there because my phone ran out of space just as I was explaining whatever that last bit was. So I'll try again now I've freed up some space. So I think we were just starting the chorus. And yeah, explaining that little hammer on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. Hammer on, strum thumb, up to the C. You know? It just sounds like a really nice little extra thing to do. You don't have to do it, but if you want to throw that hammer on in, it's hard to say. If you want to do that, then you can just do it before the C. And then there's a nice little pull off on the C with your ring finger on the 1st string. So I would go lazy John, lazy. So you do like a strum on the normal one, normal C, and then on the 2nd time strike the string, pull it off, and then I'd leave it off for the strum because it's got a nice ring to it. Okay. And you go straight to the D, which is a little bit unusual. A lot of the time you'll go back to a G after a C, but this jumps straight back to the D, so it's like a. But again, I just use that power D. I don't use the full D. You can if you want, but this is how I do it. then kind of a bit like in the verse, I'd do like a hammer on the bass. And then probably wouldn't do any hammer-ons on that bit. Bass, D, strum thumb, up to the first string, just staying in the D and just leaving it. First string, back to the second string. That kind of gives you the melody, so it'd be. Okay, so all that bit together, you've got the up to the C, up to the D, hammer on B, first string, second string, and then I'm lifting it off so it's a G by the time you hit that second string. Okay, so that's your first little phrase of the chorus. And then kind of repeat because it goes back to that C, so I'd do the same thing. And then to finish it off, you can either bring that ring finger and do that little pull off again, or do your little bass pull off, so bass string, and then just finish it on that middle string on your G. So you can, this is what I mean with this tune, hopefully if you're feeling a bit more confident you can just play around with kind of where you would put the hammer-ons and kind of what little flourishes you might put in. So I would, I think, finish it off the second time around. It's quite a nice little finish. I'm not putting any drop thumb in this. You'll see obviously players playing this and they bring the thumb down onto different strings, which is cool. I'm not very good at drop thumb and I don't tend to use it very much because the songs I play for myself don't really need it, but a lot of the old time tunes it can be really nice to put drop thumb in, so that's something that I will leave to other tutors to help you out with, but this just shows you can play an awful lot without doing the drop thumb, because this version I play of Lazy John, I'm just keeping my thumb on that 5th string the whole time, just like we've been doing right from the start. Note, strum, thumb, that's all this hand is doing. I'm not doing any kind of fancy thing at all, I'm leaving it up on the 5th string, my thumb all the time, and just using it as the drone. Okay, so if we want to put that together, we've got the verse, which is I just like to start it with that little hammer on the bass, then up to the D, slide, pull off, open, slide, pull off, up to the chorus, little hammer on, pull off, to the D, but obviously you don't have to put any hammer-ons or pull-offs or slides in, you know, it is just 3 chords, so if you're still not feeling quite up to that yet, you know, just have a little sing-along, you know, it doesn't really matter, you know, oh, I did a hammer-on automatically. Work all day in the noonday sun, 15 cents when Saturday comes and we'll go to the dance, won't you get away late? I'm confusing myself because I can never remember the words properly, even though they're so bloody easy, like just find the words for yourself. But what I mean is you can see, you can just play along, you know, Lazy John, why don't you get your day's work all done? You're in the shade and I'm in the sun, why don't you get away, Lazy John? That's just doing nothing but the basic Frailing strum and the chords. So you can play the whole song just like that, which maybe is a good thing to do. At first, just play it through with the chords like that, and then try putting in those extra things. And you can put as many or as few in as you want, but I just think that's a really nice one, using those 3 simple chords that we know really well. It's a good one to practice your hammer-ons, your pull-offs and stuff, and that sneaky little slide in the verse, I like that. and that's a nice pull off as well, practicing that ring finger one, because that's quite useful for other tunes. If you're in that D, you might have your little finger on the first string sometimes and then pull that ring finger across to do pull-offs, or pull it right across to the bass string to make like a full D shape. So it is useful to get that ring finger working and coming across the strings like that. So there's Lazy John. Play around with it, play it straightforward, then try and throw some of the fancy stuff into it, and yeah, hope you get along with it all right, and I'll see you next time. Bye.